Somewhere out on that horizon, out beyond the neon lights, I know there must be something better, but there's nowhere else in sight. It's survival in the city. When you live from day to day, city streets don't have much pity. When you're down, that's where you'll stay. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, taking it to the streets and doing damage to the socialist utopia that they're trying to set up, not under our watch. What's happening?
Oh, not a lot, I guess.
Yeah?
I just, we're all on lockdown again, so there isn't a whole lot going on other than many people going crazy and many people very angry.
Yeah.
I've never seen a situation where we have a vaccine now. I know because my wife works in that industry, and yet we're getting more and more paranoid and draconian. All the people who say, trust the science, unless it's a vaccine, then we're...
Trust the science.
All of a sudden, now the science,
Yes.
Bill Fry, the science guy or whatever, is...
He's not really a scientist.
I don't think he's really a high school graduate, but that's just me. Jay, I think I know.
Really?
I do think I do.
Wow.
It's that guy from America's Most Wanted, John Walsh.
John Walsh.
Right? Isn't it John Walsh?
From America's Most Wanted.
Yeah. Isn't that the guy, John Walsh?
Not John Walsh, no.
Oh, well, it's Walsh something. Right? Isn't it Jeff Walsh or something like that? It's Walsh something. I do know it.
Yes, he's one of... Joe Walsh is one of the...
Okay, Joe, that's what I meant.
It is performed by the Eagles, but yes, Joe Walsh was in the Eagles.
Well,
Joe Walsh was in the Eagles.
Was he?
Yes.
I think I can name all the
in
Eagles.
the city. Yeah? You think you can name them all?
No, but I think I can. Well, there's the guy with the long hair, don't tell me.
Okay.
Glenn Fry.
He is one of them. Is he the one with the long hair?
Well,
maybe the picture.
Didn't he pass away not too long ago?
Yeah, he
okay.
did.
There's
He's the guy that had the one solo hit song on the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack.
Oh.
The heat is on.
Oh,
yeah.
You know, I used to say that when I turned the heat on. I used to sing that in
really?
the house. Yep.
That never gets
There's the guy, the dirty laundry guy, Don Henley.
Don Henley, yeah. He was the drummer.
Okay, there you go. I just named them all.
No, that's not all of them.
Oh, there's not?
No.
Well, who else is there?
Well, Timothy B. Schmidt is the bass player.
Well, I knew that.
There used to be a guy named Don Felder who was in the Eagles for a while.
Yeah, two guys named Don.
And then he got replaced. I think they had three guitarists. Yeah. So
well,
Glenn Fry and
I think I can name all of the Grateful Dead. I think I could name them all.
I can only name the one guy. Oh no, I can name two of them. I was never a Grateful Dead fan.
Well, there's don't tell me. Some guy named Grisham, Bob Weir.
Oh, Grisham wrote
Jerry Garcia.
Novels.
That's the. Oh, gee. That's an answer I'd give.
Yes.
All right, so Joan Walsh singing that song.
Joe.
Right,
yes.
John. Okay, so I'm going to give myself like 3/4 of a point there.
I would give that to you.
You'd give that to
Joe
me?
Walsh was the actual writer of the song.
Round it up to the nearest.
So, looking at the credits of the song, Joe Walsh actually wrote it. The Eagles performed it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Why did I think it was... Why did I get Walsh in my head then?
Well, because he was in the Eagles.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe I mean, you know, like for the longest time...
He probably sang it.
For the longest time, I didn't realize Don Henley and all them had solo songs. I thought it was all the Eagles. The Eagles, every woman over 75's favorite band.
The Eagles, not to be confused with the Eagles of death metal, which is a different band.
Yeah, or the Eagles in Philadelphia, not to be confused with any of them. Jay, before we're going to do our little, we haven't done history lesson for a while.
Oh, my favorite. I don't know any dates, and I know events, I don't know dates, so this is always interesting for everybody on the show.
Well, you might know a few of these ones, but before that,
you already told me there's no December 7th, no December 8th.
Yeah, first week of December, and we're not doing...
Maybe December 25th. I might get some things right there, too.
Maybe a few things you lived through. Anyway, put it to you this way.
Yes.
I just wanted to say something about still waiting. But do you know that there are 2 congressional seats still undecided at this moment?
Yeah.
And it's funny how some networks have called and websites have called some races and some haven't. It's funny that they all agree on the Democrats winning everything they've won. But if a Republican's winning, we're gonna hold out until.
You heard the one in New York, right? Is it New York 22 where she was up by 12 and they found 55 votes somewhere?
And she's the Republican candidate is still ahead on the official count, though.
Well, that's good.
That I have here. There's the Iowa seat.
If she's any good, that's good.
Which Iowa is supposedly going ahead and certifying, I guess, because they've hit their date or something like that. Let me look this up. The Iowa. It is I don't know where this is in the state, but House District, they only have 4.
Right.
And House District 2, and the Republican candidate officially on here is, I'm at 270towin.com. I mean, you can look up anywhere and pretty much, I don't know if you necessarily see the same thing, but I don't know why we're still at 91% of the vote, but some sources have this completed with the Republican candidate winning by 6 votes.
Wow.
On here, the Republican candidate is ahead by 32 votes. So far, again, I'm going by this site, there's 222 Democratic House members, 211 Republicans. That's a net of 10 pickups for the Republicans, including 3 in California. Did you see that?
I did.
Strange, but
Burgess Owens got his
in
seat
Utah.
in Utah.
Yep.
Okay, so Iowa District 2 is just kind of.
Is it the southeast?
Southeast of. It starts south of Des Moines, like we're just west of where I-35 runs, and then it goes all the way over along
to Illinois, and then.
Yeah, just about. Not. I don't think it quite hits the Quad Cities, but it does include Iowa City, just south of Cedar Rapids. So.
Okay, and New York 22 is the other one, which is in upstate New York.
Yes.
But it's a weird shape. It goes from Lake Ontario all the way down toward Pennsylvania. It's just it looks like Africa.
Yes.
The district, and that
kind of does.
That district is strange. I'm going to say I'm going to actually go out on a limb here and say the 2 parties split this because I don't trust anything in New York. They've been counting mail-in ballots. From like 9 to 3:30 every day. They've been kind of doing that. So if you look at New York 22 right now, you've got, let's see, you got the Republican candidate on here with 97% of the vote in, up by 182 votes. So, again, if it's mail-in ballots, I'm assuming that it's 135-0 one way. So,
well, if I read this right, a guy had found these mislaid ballots.
It's amazing how that happens.
Yeah, and his name, according to this, is Al Franker. I don't know if it's any coincidence or not, but.
Probably. Maybe that's like a third cousin or something.
I'm not Al Franken. I'm Al Franker.
Yeah, so.
Yes.
So anyway, as of right now, actually, I take that back. It's an 11-seat gain, an 11-seat loss by Democrats. There was 233 to 201 with Justin Amash being the one whatever.
Yeah, the one whatever.
And so it's 222 to 111. I say it ends up 223 to 212. We'll see.
Yeah.
So it would be about a 5-vote majority there, down from about a 17.
But they will act like they have a 230-seat majority.
No, they'll act like they have a 410-seat majority. That's how they'll act.
We have a mandate. We lost all these seats. We're almost in the minority party, but we have a mandate.
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens come redistricting because ultimately, I mean, you've got that's done at a state level.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be the goal, is for them to be able to circle the wagons and hold on to their majorities in 2 years.
Well, that's not going to be easy because they don't control most legislatures. They don't control most governors.
Yeah.
So it's not that simple.
It's going to be hard for them to do that in the states, But again, Republicans are notoriously terrible at coming out on the positive side of things.
Well, it depends where you are. There's some states where that's not true.
Wow.
If you look at, in fact, I was just going to do this.
Good.
You'd be surprised. There was a time where Texas was back in the 90s when Ann Richards was the governor. They gerrymandered it so that Texas actually had a majority of Democratic Congress people. If you look at Texas now, as to where it's more accurate of where the state probably is.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I mean, you're going to have your Austin and Houston areas,
and the southern tip of it is you've got some blue.
Yeah, but the rest of the state's pretty representative, I think, and also we've seen Pennsylvania, Michigan, and states like that send majorities of Republicans and have Republican legislatures. I don't know that, I don't know that that's. I think, generally speaking, you're right, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see how that works out. Ultimately, redistricting is supposed to be about drawing districts that are even and fair, but we all know that's bull.
Yes,
and nowhere are you going to see that more than here in Minnesota, because we're going to lose a congressional seat, I think. We came very close to losing one last time. I still think we're going to. And
we've got an influx of people from other places.
Yeah, but if you look at growth, if you look at where the country is growing, versus the places that are stagnant or growing very slowly, we are in the growing very slowly category. You've got places like New York. At some point, New York will be like the 20th largest state.
Yeah, they're hemorrhaging.
Yeah,
people.
I mean it's
so hemorrhaging.
Yeah, there was a time New York was the most important state to win in anything.
Yeah,
and now it's ignored. But if you look at it, I mean, you're going to see Texas, Arizona, Florida pick up seats. You're going to see California lose seats for the first time ever. You'll see New York, probably a little bit more of the Rust Belt, lose. And that's where the natural shift is going to be. But, the point being, if Minnesota loses one, and I think they're going to, it'll be, I want to see the shapes in which these districts are drawn.
Yes.
Because ultimately, you can't do much with the 3 outstate districts. I mean, you can't make that 2. It's impossible. So how do they turn the 5? And even 6 is going to be hard, too. How do you turn 2 through 5 into 3?
I mean, you could maybe change things a little. I mean, 8 is big, but I mean, it kind of is what it is. 7, however, I mean, it runs the entire western border of the state for the most part. So maybe you kind of break things up into corners a little bit more, and then you let the cities flow out into 2, 3.
Well, what you're going to see is the Democrats are going to target Jim Hagedorn.
Yes,
he's the guy they're going to target. The Democrats or the Republicans are going to target Angie Craig. That's where you're going to see the movement between 1 and 2. How does that get divided up?
Yeah.
And is there something that can be done to combine 4 and 5, or is 6 going to bleed down into 3 and 5 go out into? I'm concerned in Plymouth I'm going to be annexed into 5. I mean,
that could happen. Or maybe
I'm right on the border. I'm on the right side of the border.
Maybe we could do a little trading where I go out into 3 and
no, you stay where you are.
We move 5 west or east rather.
No, you stay where you are.
And maybe then we can trade 5 to.
You couldn't trade 5 for a player to be named later in cash considerations.
To maybe like Oregon?
Even Oregon wouldn't take Ilhan Omar.
I don't know.
I don't think Detroit would take her. Okay, so I mean,
if you combine 4 and 5, though, who wins? Like in an all-out fisticuffs battle between Betty McCollum and
Omar wins that. The better funded minority younger person wins that every time. The Democrats will check the boxes.
Who is able to illegally raise the most money and funnel it to her family's campaign?
Absolutely. I mean, what's new about that?
Yeah.
I mean, it don't mean anything.
How much again did she funnel? It was like $2 million or more than that.
It could be 100 gazillion, and there'll be no consequences.
Ended up in her husband's bank account. That's awesome.
No, it was like her husband's Jewish relative or something that somehow, I don't know.
He's not.
Look, if it ends up anywhere, they know how to whitewash it, okay? They know how to clean it, as we would call it.
Trust me, there's no Jewish relative with Ilhan Omar.
No, her husband. Isn't that?
No. there would.
Thought you knew him.
There would be jihad at every family get-together.
Yeah, she's not racist or anything like that.
No.
Jay,
yes.
It is the first week of December. It's time to play Remember When. Jay, remember when. We'll start with your childhood. December 2nd.
Oh, here we go.
1823. What happened? Did a very, very big thing happen. December 2nd, 1823, when you were 28 years old. What happened?
Was that when the presidential race ended up getting settled in the House between John Quincy Adams and
President Jackson? No, that would be 1824's election. Yep.
Hey, that's not bad.
You're close. February 5th, 1925 is when the House voted. Notice how I know that.
Yeah.
When the House voted to put Adams in. Remember, there were 4 candidates.
Yes.
The Constitution prescribes only 3 can be decided, and there was a little deal, I believe, which happens when politicians get to pick politicians.
Yes.
And John Quincy Adams, that was the last time, in fact, that the 12th Amendment was used that way. No, you're wrong. I'll tell you what the right answer is. That was the day that President Monroe instituted the Monroe Doctrine. That the United States was no longer going to tolerate colonization in the Western Hemisphere. Probably one of the biggest landmark things ever done in foreign policy.
Yeah. England and France and everybody, they were still colonizing.
They weren't doing it here.
Nope.
But I mean, if you think about it, for the time, that was an extraordinary thing.
Right.
Today, nobody'd blink at signing a treaty for the United States to defend 175 different countries. But at that time, that was, right after the Mexican Civil War and their independence.
Right.
But one of the landmark things in American history, the Monroe Doctrine, Jay, December 2nd, 1823. You don't remember that? You didn't read that in the paper?
No. Nope.
Okay, well, fast forward to December 4th. Maybe we'll bring this in your wheelhouse a little bit. 1918, December 4th in American history. An extraordinary event happened that day. All right, after World War I, remember that ended November 11th.
Yes.
What happened on December 4th of 1918? I know it's not when Babe Ruth became a Yankee.
Treaty of Versailles was signed.
Okay. I'll give you about a quarter of a point there.
Okay.
It was not signed until June of 1919.
Oh.
But what happened was that day President Wilson boarded a ship and sailed to Europe. The first time an American president had left American soil while being president of the United States.
Why couldn't it have been the Titanic?
Yeah. Well, one of his aides died on the Titanic. That was President Taft. Archibald Butt, I think, was his name. No, really.
Archibald Butt.
Archibald Butt, I think. I'm going to look that up. Aren't you a bald butt?
Archibald Butt.
Boy, that's worse than being named Willie B. Hart again.
Wow.
Archie Butt? Is that what I said?
Archibald.
Yes, April 15th, 1912.
Wow.
Now, what was he? He was an aide to President Taft. He died on the Titanic.
Oh.
Now, so the first time a president ever left, in fact, so sacred was the custom that President Taft refused to vacation. He had a cottage in Canada. He never went there while he was president of the United States.
Good for him.
Yeah. I know. President Taft, just one of the lost treasures in American history, as far as I'm concerned.
Me too.
Also, on December 4th, again, we'll bring it in your timeline.
Boy.
1945. So right after World War II, not the greatest thing that happened on this day. The United States did something that after World War I they wouldn't do. That ought to give a nice hint.
What didn't we do after World War I? Unfortunately, we got into the stupid League of Nations, so that means that
You're close.
Right.
But we did not get into the League of Nations.
Right. So we got into the United Nations.
Got into the United Nations, 65-7. Now, now there were more than 36 states in 1945. So, how many don't know, no opinions did we have? You know, if a bunch of people refused to vote, how do you get the 2/3 majority? Well, we had 48 states in 1945, and only 72 senators voted.
Interesting fact: I have a flag with 48 stars on
Really?
it. Yes, I do.
That is an interesting fact.
Yes.
Rarely do you have interesting facts, but you do now.
Interesting artifact.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we'll have to look that up a little bit. Remember when? Again in your wheelhouse. 1933. On December 5th, 1933.
Yeah.
What happened on that day?
What happened on that? Prohibition would have ended.
The 21st Amendment was officially ratified on December 5th.
I only know that because of your hint, because 1913 is when Prohibition started.
No, 1919.
19? Oh, it was Wilson.
The Volstead Act. Yes.
Okay. It was Wilson. That's all I need to know.
Just blame, I know. If it's between 1913 and 1921, it was probably bad. Actually, I say 1920 because President Harding was there. As we have discussed on this program, one of the, again, I believe a great underrated president is Warren Harding. I cannot understand why he is so blackballed by the only thing I can think of is he just doesn't have that personality. All the scandals once he died. That's the thing. Okay, one more.
Okay.
December 6th, we're going to go back to a constitutional amendment. This is not passing one, but this was utilizing one. December 6th, 1973, an amendment was used for the very first time.
I happen to be, let's see, December 6th, you said?
1973.
I would have been 1 month and 1 day old. I was actually around.
Well, then how did you read about the Monroe Doctrine when it came out?
My word. Okay. So, phrase this again. What is it?
Okay. On December 6th, 1933, an amendment to the United States Constitution was used for the very first time.
They kind of get fuzzy on me after.
Okay. It was not ratified. It was used for the very first time.
Right. Yeah, after the Bill of Rights, there's a few that I know.
Jay, a few that you know. Golly. You have to revoke your license to do this show. How do you possibly get paid more than I do to do this? I don't know. I need to fire my agent.
25th? I don't know.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
25th Amendment, what was that?
That's the one where a president, when they're incapacitated.
Okay, that's one part of it.
Okay.
Vice President Agnew had resigned earlier in the year. Gerald Ford was appointed as his replacement.
Yes.
He was officially cleared to be vice president by the House and Senate on December 6th, 1973. So that is what happened. And you're very close. But the 25th Amendment has several parts to it. The incapacitation is one of them. Would have gotten rid of Wilson in 1919.
Yes. Yes, it would have.
Yeah, but so yes, Gerald Ford became the first unelected vice president in 1973.
And then went on to be president.
Amazing.
Yes.
I mean, it's just, no politics there. No, I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm just interesting, too. The vote 387 to 35. I wonder, get a roll call vote one of these days and see who voted against old Gerald Rudolph Ford III Jr.
Yes.
The Senate, and funny, he was in the House. I mean, he was the Republican minority leader. House confirmed him 92 to 3. So,
wow, that would not happen today.
no, that would, if a resolution came through that the sun came up in the east, it would not get 92 votes in the United States Senate. No way.
No.
You'd have to get a conference committee together and get all the moderates together to word the resolution a certain way so some group doesn't feel racist or something.
And Mitt Romney would still vote against it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Jay, it's been a long time since we've done kind of a local lightning round of stuff going on. And of course, with all of the crap going on from the elections and from Wuhan flu.
I prefer the Kung Flu. I think that's one of my favorites.
You were Kung Flu fighting?
Yes.
Do you think a song like that could come out today? Do you ever hear the lyrics in that?
No.
You got little Jackie Chan and little Johnny Chung, and or what do they say in it?
It would never come out today. No. I mean, someone like Ted Nugent might try to put something.
Ted
like that
could
out.
do it. He couldn't sing that song.
No, not that one. But he could try to write something similar.
He writes about killing bears and stuff.
But, but most of the artists today, would just pander and
God,
write
it's
about
sick.
crying in a corner.
Well, the artists who are on the radio and I don't know music today. I couldn't tell you anything about music today. Who's the top?
You gotta stop listening to your Cardi B.
Huh?
You gotta stop listening to all your Cardi B.
What's Cardi B?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
So, some rapper I don't know that looks like I don't know.
Isn't that Little Spooky or something like that? I don't know. I don't know who's out there. Look, if it's not, if it's after like 1998, I don't know it.
Yeah.
And maybe before 1989, I might know it fairly well.
Yeah.
Okay, but once you get into the gin blossoms and the smashing cranberries or something, I don't know. I don't.
Cranberries were good.
Were they?
Yeah.
Were they the smashing cranberries?
No.
Who am I thinking of?
Smashing Pumpkins.
No, they're okay.
Yeah.
They're okay too. I was not into, like I've said in previous episodes, I was not into that alternative stuff because I'm never into what's hip. If it's hip, I don't know it, and I'm not in it. It has to be old for 20 years for me to like it.
Yeah.
It just does. So that's just, go figure. But we haven't done a kind of lightning local news kind of cycle for a while.
Yeah.
And of course, we're getting to that time of year where, we've done shows. If you go back in our December shows, we've always done these tax levy shows, and we kind of just up the total frustration shows. I mean, just total angry, it's interesting that we're in a time right now, Jay, of shared sacrifice. You just have to stay home and be inconvenienced. You can't, what we call congregate now, and we know what that means. That means you can't see family and you can't go to church.
Right.
Anything else, you want to congregate at Target or you want to congregate protesting and rioting, that's all right. But you can't.
Around the governor's table for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's okay too.
Or, Gavin Newsom wants to go out to eat or something. He can do that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But the rest of us, we have to sacrifice. Yes. We have to, if we don't wear a mask, we're just not being patriotic. I'll tell you what. If I hear something is patriotic, I am immediately against whatever it is. I mean, think about it.
Doesn't it depend on who's saying that a little bit?
Not really, because if I hear, maybe it does a tad, but if take something like the Patriot Act. Okay, if you'd have called that the Destroy the Fourth Amendment Act, nobody would have.
Right.
But if you label it and brand it as the Patriot Act, by definition, you're saying if I don't support it, then I'm unpatriotic.
Right.
Okay, so it's a patriotic duty to go wear a mask, according to the president's select. And yet, at the very same time, I'm sitting here going, okay, the opposite is probably true. In fact, the opposite is true.
Yes.
It's not a patriotic duty to wear your.
No.
You know what? I can't wait for it. I'm going to take a mask. Okay,
yes.
And I'm going to go to the first politician that I see. I'm going to shove it so far up their ass that they're going to have to move it out of the way to brush their little yellow teeth. Okay, that's what I'm going to do the first time I can do it.
Wow.
Does that sound angry, or does that? We haven't even started.
I hope you use a stick. That would be.
I just can't wait till I can do that. Take that mask. I'm gonna shove it down somebody's throat, and I'm just gonna eat this mask, Karen. I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna find a person named Karen. I'd hate to have that name.
Yes,
right now.
I would too. I wonder about that too. I mean, when anything is labeled patriotic, I wonder if that comes like directly out of a book from Edward Bernays or. If that kind of made the rounds from Bernays over to 1940s Germany and back again.
But again, it's all this inside Washington, Dick Morris, Frank Luntz. We gotta word something this way, and then that way people will respond to it. It's patriotic. Mm-hmm. Like right now, every time you hear about COVID, what is the word you're hearing? Surge. Surge, 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 surge. No matter what news outlet you get it from, local, national, wherever, you hear the same word.
Yeah.
And it's just like, really? If bars and restaurants were the culprits of coronavirus, why isn't every bar regular fallen dead by now? Mm-hmm. I know people go to the bar every day. They should have had it 6 times by now. All right, Jay, I'm going to start where I'm the angriest. Okay. Or we're going to start where I'm the angriest, because here's the shared sacrifice in my adopted hometown of Plymouth.
Okay, I need to switch articles, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we've got shared sacrifice going on right now. And the government is sharing in it. They're sharing in it so much that they have proposed a 7% property tax levy increase. Now, first off, I'd like to know, how in the world are they collecting all these property taxes? I mean, to begin with, we have people behind on their rent. You can't kick them out because the governor won't let you, which is why I'm saying we're headed toward a huge housing bubble, which is coming at some point because we're going to have so many people evicted and foreclosed on.
Agreed.
And we're totally unprepared for it. But yet, the shared sacrifice by Plymouth includes 6 new full-time positions that they are hiring for.
Hey, they'll be able to pay their mortgage or rent.
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
Of course, they get it from you.
No
Actually,
housing
from
bubble.
me.
No housing bubble.
Yeah.
It's off.
They're doing 3 firefighters.
Yeah.
Who are probably the lowest paid people of what I'm about to say. They have a police investigation technician, as well as a historical site manager. And there's so much history in Plymouth. There's so many places that people come from. It's like we got our own Mount Rushmore in Plymouth. We got so many places to come and visit. You can visit Target. You can visit Medicine Lake. There's just so many things. Holiday gas station, Famous Dave's. There's so many places to come to.
Yeah.
A full-time historical site manager.
This is important.
Yeah, well,
I'm picturing like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, or UHF from Weird Al. You know, you got Devil's Tower out of mashed potatoes. And this is important,
and not to be
This
outdone.
means something. Yes.
Not to be outdone by the full-time historical site manager, is a full-time diversity, equity, and inclusion coordinator.
Ugh. Come on, Plymouth.
Really?
Have you ever
I
been
expect
to
that.
Plymouth?
I expect that bull stuff in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
A diversity, equity, and inclusion. What the hell do they? I want to know what they do 40 hours a week, or maybe it's 20. Maybe that's what they're actually working.
Yeah.
I'd like to know, what do they do exactly?
Cause a headache for everybody else.
Well, I mean, hey, I'm punching in.
Yeah.
Sit down at my computer with my Starbucks and my cream-filled Bismarck. All right, what do I do? Where do I start that day? Man, what's my syllabus for the day?
But you know what they
Go
do.
to meetings and
Well, yeah. I mean, they go to meetings.
come up with new slogans
Play
for
a
the
lot
city.
of solitaire and stuff, but at the same time, someone like that, I mean, a position like that really is a solution or a problem looking for a solution looking for a problem,
Well, of course.
right? And so it's, how can we take something that's not an issue and make it an issue?
Well, the first thing they're going to do is copy what's going on in other cities.
Like St. Louis Park, Golden Valley, Edina.
Pick your city.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm sure they'll do a study from an NGO. They'll pick out the same one like everybody always does, and do things like that. At a previous council meeting, I'm getting this from hometownsource.com. I've used 2 of my 3 free articles there. They think I'm going to pay to read local news.
Yes.
I'd rather. I'm not going to say what I'd rather do. Quite frankly, I mean, it's absurd on its face to do that, because this is where the city publicates everything.
Yes.
But people can't get it for free. That's technically, that's an issue there. At a previous city council meeting, they discussed reinstating the Human Rights Commission, which was disbanded in 2012, no doubt for sitting around doing nothing. Before considering that action, the city will hire a diversity, equity, and inclusion coordinator who will be responsible for integrating equity and inclusion principles into city policies, operations, facilitating community engagement, and assisting with staff training. So we're all going to go to touchy-feely class.
Yes.
And we're gonna learn how to put more chocolate chips in that vanilla shake. Got to get those chocolate chips and stir up that vanilla shake, Jay. That's what's going on here.
Yeah.
Honkies need not apply. Councilmember Jim Prom, I believe he's my councilman, actually, voted against this budget due to the addition of these full-time positions, calling the what do you call this position? Oh, I need a what do you call it? Where there's just a bunch of letters. Acronym.
An acronym, yeah.
We'll call it IEI, Integrating Equity and Inclusion. IEI. IEA, or whatever we'll call it. Doesn't matter, okay? But Councilman Ned Carell says, I think it is important, and I'm glad to see it there. Oh, yippee. Yippee for you, Ned Carell. So, if you care to comment, I would suggest getting a hold of these folks with angry emails. And Tuesday night, December 8th, if you can interrupt your Netflix or something, you can. In fact, can you go to the meeting? Or is this virtual BS?
It says the public may comment on the preliminary budget at a public hearing set for 7 p.m. Tuesday, December 8th. The council may reduce the preliminary levy prior to the final adoption at that meeting, but it cannot increase the levy. That's all it says.
Yeah, but you know what? It'll go from 6.9 to 6.7. Then it'll be a 0.2% cut, right?
Yeah.
That'll be how it's...
So the public hearing is set for 7 p.m. Tuesday, December 8th. I don't know if that's virtual or if that's in person.
Well, anyway, for what it's worth, if it matters, you can make your opinions known.
But they've been working on it for 6 months already, so
yeah, it's unlikely.
good luck.
unlikely to do a whole lot.
But, I mean, you have to do it, too. I mean, it's one of those thankless tasks you have to go do, or else they get too comfortable in their shorts and they start doing worse things. You know?
And I tell you what, I hate to say it, there are worse things you can do.
Oh, yeah.
Set foot in Minneapolis, and don't tell me there aren't worse things that can happen.
Yep.
I mean,
plenty is plenty.
Yeah, this ain't gooder, but it could be worser.
Yes.
Jay, the city of Golden Valley.
Oh, our favorite.
With their wonderful city council.
Yes.
Including what's her name on Twitter that I've barbed with a few times.
Jillian Rosencliff?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, not a fan.
The city, I'm curious. I'm not really understanding what is the deal here. This is from the November 17th, 2020, again at hometownsas.com, formerly the Sun Post.
Yeah.
Golden Valley City Council unanimously voted to remove several sections of its rental housing licensing ordinances this month, known as the city's crime-free housing initiatives. Huh?
That doesn't sound good. When you're removing something that's crime-free, that means that crime is...
Well, I mean, are we removing? You know, whenever I hear people like the people in Golden Valley talking about crime-free, usually the opposite is true. But they want to decriminalize criminal action. You know, it's like
right.
We won't call it a crime anymore.
That's not the case here.
Yeah, I don't understand it though, because they are. At the November 4th City Council meeting, Golden Valley Deputy Fire Chief Ted, oh boy, help me with that last name, Jay.
Is it
Massacotti?
Masticoli? Is it
Masticati?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Masticati.
That noodles.
Yeah,
the,
that's
the
what
big
I was
old
thinking
noodles
of.
with the kind of like lasagna with
Masticati and meatballs.
Yes.
Said that the ordinance
Exactly
said that the ordinances were being revisited because they had a tendency to unfairly target renters and discourage them from seeking emergency services for fear of being evicted from their homes. What?
Well,
you can be evicted for dialing 911?
I don't think they mean emergency service that way. I think they mean help with rent, help with heat, help with emergency services like.
So wait a minute. So they
welfare.
So they don't pay their heat bill or they don't pay their rent, and the landlords can't evict them then?
I think so. I think.
Whatever happened to signing a contract and both sides live? If the landlord doesn't do something, I bet they're treated like crap.
Yeah,
I'm sure the sides aren't equal. The decision, which requires 2 readings, followed a similar plan by the city of Robbinsdale. Oh, wow, Golden Valley's copying somebody. Whoa, that's an original idea. What do you want to bet their city managers and police chiefs had lunch? In October, the Robbinsdale City Council voted not to enforce their crime-free housing ordinance for up to 1 year at the request of the city's Human Rights Commission. Oh, yippee. In the interim, attorneys, oh boy, will be analyzing the offline ordinance for disparate
or...
Yeah, whatever. And discriminatory impacts.
Yes.
St. Louis Park also repealed its crime-free things last. Oh, well, you gotta be.
They didn't.
Jake the Snake leading that. You say Spano, I say Spano. Jake the Snake slithering over there. Our Deputy Secretary of State, the total conflict of interest. Upon passage of the second reading, the city will no longer require landlords to attend a crime-free training. Huh? A crime-free, drug-free addendum in its private rental agreements or take action against tenants, they or their guests to be recognized for disorderly conduct. So basically what they're saying... I'm not sure I'm reading this right, Jay.
So the city, it says down here at the bottom of that paragraph, the city will no longer be able to take action against landlords based on their tenants' conduct.
Okay, now is that good or bad?
Yeah, it's not written. This isn't written very well. This
Yeah, I
article.
don't think so either.
They're making the big bucks over there at Hometown Source, you'd think. So they're not going to let they're not going to make the landlords attend these trainings for crime-free training, a crime-free, drug-free addendum in its private rental agreement.
You got to go to a training to be a landlord?
No, so they kind of spell it out in this next one where they're talking about that crime-free and drug-free addendums in private rental agreements. Or take action against tenants should they or their guests be recognized for disorderly conduct. So what they're saying is that.
Here's my. Hold on.
Let me finish explaining it.
Okay.
Though. So in a lot of rental agreements, they can evict somebody if they're a problem. Of
course they can.
If they're doing drugs.
My parents could have thrown me out of the house if I.
if they're doing illegal drugs in the rental unit, although you walk into just about any rental place on earth and it smells like
your eyes water a little.
Grow house, yeah, and then you have disorderly conduct or other kinds of violent crime, and it
domestic altercation.
It looks like from the way this reads that landlords don't have to. Let me see. So they're not going to require training when it comes to making a place. There's like steps to make it a crime-free whatever. So they're not going to require the training for that, and they are require including a crime-free / drug-free addendum in the private rental agreements, or taking action against tenants should they or their guests be recognized for disorderly conduct. So the city no longer will be able to take action against the landlords based on their tenants' conduct. So in one way, I guess that's good for landlords, but it depends then. What are they requiring of the landlords?
Hold on.
Yeah.
If Robbinsdale, Golden Valley, and St. Louis Park are doing this, that tells me that's not good.
Yeah. No, it's not good.
I think you're right. This is not explaining it very well.
No.
See, I'm reading it as they're basically saying if you do drugs or something like that, you can't be evicted for that.
Right.
That's how I'm reading it.
Yes, and they're, I think,
and the landlord can't put language like that in an agreement. Or am I taking that too far?
No, it doesn't sound like they're forbidding it to be in there.
I mean, I agree. Why should it go against the landlord if an adult renting and paying for space? They have Fourth Amendment rights too.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, so if they're in there weeding it up, why then is the landlord punished for that?
Yeah, they shouldn't be. You might have an on-site manager. You might not have an on-site manager.
It depends who the renter is.
Yeah. I mean, how do you keep up on, 2 a.m. on a Friday night? How do you keep up with that?
I don't know. How do you babysit everybody's behavior? It's impossible.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm confused at this one. This might require a follow-up.
Yeah.
But again, if the Human Rights Commission is pushing this, that tells me there's some sort of poor people, minorities, or not being treated well.
The Human Rights Commission doesn't ever fall on the side of landlords unless it is to help the people that they...
Right, the people they're oppressing.
Those buildings. Yes.
Yeah, they're oppressing those people. So
as we've learned in critical theory, there has to be an oppressed class, and then there has to be... You use their oppression against the oppressor to get what you want. And these type of human rights commissions are a little more than that.
All I know is it's just bad all over. Jay, speaking of bad all over, you got something here. Hennepin and Washington counties.
Oh.
What are their... But, we've done... How many podcasts have anybody ever done other than us on county attorneys? Is there ever?
Yeah.
I want to know if there's ever been that as a subject on any podcast in the history of Western civilization. I don't think so.
No, not unless there's county attorneys that like have their own podcast.
Are you kidding me? Boring.
Well,
we make it
He
interesting.
didn't say it was good.
Yeah, goodness gracious. You listen to Mike Freeman on a podcast? Why don't you just why don't you just get hung by a yardarm? What's going on with these county attorneys, Jay?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Andrew.
I'm not glad I asked. Let's see what the answer is first.
Well, there's a lot of articles about this. We originally chose one of the Duluth News Tribune, but they wanted us to pay. So we're on Fox 9.
Yeah. Duluth News Tribune, you know where you can shove it.
Yeah. All right. So there's a whole bunch of crimes that misdemeanors that they are going to stop making people pay cash bail for. Why not?
I shouldn't laugh.
Why not? Here's what we got. Wednesday, Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman announced a list of crimes that he will no longer request bail for. The list includes low-level drug possession or sales charges. Okay. Theft under $35,000. Motor vehicle theft. Damage to property. Shoplifting. Counterfeiting currency. And identity theft. Really? I mean, okay, so maybe for the drug crimes, I can understand that and get behind that. People generally aren't going to flee, with that kind of thing. It was like we were talking about before. I mean, cash bail is to keep people around so they're there to go to court. But when you're talking about people maybe you want to keep in jail because maybe they'll run, maybe they'll recommit it.
Well, okay,
and
stop and think.
But the more serious a crime, I mean, when you look at first-degree murder or something like that, it's a really high bond.
Well, if there even is one.
If there is one.
I mean,
yes.
you may get remanded for something like that. Well, here's the thing. First off, bail is at the discretion. Just because they don't seek it doesn't mean a judge can't impose it. I want to say that straight out.
All right.
A judge can still step in and go, no, I'm not granting, because that's who they go in front of when you're arraigned. You go in front of a judge, the prosecution asks for something, the defense asks for something. So ultimately, the judge is the decision maker here.
Yeah.
But judges rarely, if the prosecution says, I want $10,000 in bail, and the defense wants ROR, the judge rarely goes, all right, I'll give $100,000 for it.
Right.
Very rarely.
Right.
But there are judges out there who will not go along with a prosecutor's agenda either. Now, here's what I don't understand. There's a couple things. One, identity theft. Now, Freeman keeps calling these nonviolent crimes. Well, let me tell you something. If somebody, the whole point of bail is not to punish someone. It is to make sure they have an incentive to show up when their court dates come. Now, if you're into identity theft, okay, and you're released ROR.
Yes.
You're an identity thief. Okay? What are the odds that person's going to obtain somebody else's driver's license or blah, 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 blah? You may never find them again.
Yes.
Okay, so are we requiring that? I mean, motor vehicle theft?
I know.
Really? I can tell Mike Freeman's never had his car stolen. I mean, you think that is something that requires no bail? And how about people who offend 2, 3? What if somebody's being charged with motor vehicle theft for the 5th time?
Doesn't say anything about that.
Doesn't say a word about that.
What about damage to property? That's not a violent crime?
Yeah, riots. What do you want to bet that's in response to that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, whoever bashed in, whoever these a-holes are who ran around and of course, it's Minneapolis, but nevertheless, it's people's personal property, not the government's.
Right.
They're going to be let go, ROR. What do you want to bet? Those cases are just kind of swept under the rug, and we never hear about it. But I mean, his reasoning. I mean, look, here on the one hand, you have the president-elect who is out there saying he wants to do a gun buyback, yet there are gun criminals out there that are being released from jail every day.
Right.
I mean, that's off subject a little bit, but it's totally contradictory, showing you what gun buybacks are all about. It's all about getting the guns out of the hands of law-abiding citizens. That's the whole point. The bottom line, according to Freeman, principle is what we ought to not hold people in jail in pre-education merely because they're poor and can't make bail. That's not why they have bail.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not fair. Read the next paragraph. It's not fair.
Okay, you know what you do then? Here's what you do.
Yeah.
You got $1,000 to your name?
Yeah.
I want that $1,000. Fine, that's fair.
Yeah.
You got a car? Mm-hmm. You're going to turn your car in. You can go, but you're not getting that car. Fine. Yeah. You want to proportion this to somebody? Yeah. Fine, but no bail at all? Bail is come on. I mean, seriously. I mean, if you don't want to get arraigned for a crime, I have an idea. Mm-hmm. Don't commit the damn crime in the first place.
Ooh, that's a nice idea.
Is that a concept, Mike Freeman? Are you smart enough to understand that? Based on your comments, I don't think so.
Yeah.
How many wealthy people are out there stealing cars? I mean, come on, let's just get real here.
And I'm going to get in trouble.
Well, I already said I was going to shove masks up people's asses, so you might as well just say what you want.
I think people will forget about what you said, except that you just brought it up again.
I hope they don't.
I wonder, they're not going to, as a point of policy, they're not going to request these, but I wonder if sometimes they are going to request them. And it depends on, how much how much money a person might have, or their social standing, or maybe the color of their skin.
Okay, but again, that's unequal as well.
It is, but here's what he says. We know that the individuals in a number of these crimes are disproportionately black. We think this change will reduce the disparity of who's sitting in our county jail.
Who cares?
Did they do the crime or not? That's called blind justice.
Exactly.
Did they do the crime or not? Or
look, wait a minute.
Allegedly,
look,
at that point.
This is the problem. A guy like Mike Freeman cannot be a prosecutor. A prosecutor's job is not to be an activist. It's to apply the law whether you agree with it or not.
Absolutely.
Okay? He wants to be an activist. He can go be a civil attorney and go sue a bunch of pharmaceutical companies. Fine.
Yes.
Okay? Go sue McDonald's because kids are fat. Okay, whatever. But to be an advocate and to be a prosecutor is a conflict of interest of his office. In fact, they actually go further in this Fox 9 article. Yeah. Crimes where bail will not be requested from the Hennepin County. Listen to this. Okay, fifth-degree sale or possession of narcotics. Now, not marijuana, narcotics.
Yeah.
So that's anything there. I don't even want to go down the list.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what fifth-degree sale means. Theft under $35,000. Jeez, I mean, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
I can steal $34,999.99 worth of stuff and get let out that day.
Uh-huh.
Theft of a motor vehicle. Forgery. Damage.
Forgery.
I know. I could forge. Think of what you could forge.
Forge checks all day long.
And you're free to go do it again.
Yeah.
Fraudulent identification or driver's license. Possession of burglary or theft tools. So if I steal something and you catch me with it. Identity theft, male theft versus female theft. Possession of stolen or counterfeit check. Possession of shoplifting gear.
Again,
dishonored check. Insurance fraud. Wow.
Yeah.
Fourth-degree sale or possession of narcotics. So fifth wasn't good enough. We needed fourth. Counterfeting currency.
What? Send you to 11.
Have that operation going in the basement, getting that twinkle in Andrew Jackson's eye, and I get let out to go do it some more. Sales of simulated controlled substances. What does that mean? We're virtually shooting up.
I think that stuff maybe you create out of chemicals on your own.
How about this?
Yeah.
The last one is lottery fraud. Really? How about this? Wrongfully attaining publicly assistance and wrongfully obtaining unemployment benefits. So, by the way, that's several felonies because that's fraud, identity theft. You know, if you wrongfully attain something or attain it in somebody else's name, those are several crimes.
Yes.
Not one.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, there's the laundry list of things that will get no bail. So,
right.
And I'm sure that list is only going to grow.
Oh, yeah, this is a starter list.
I mean, Washington County Attorney Pete Orput says he is following suit, encouraged, by the way, by the Attorney General, who hopes other county attorneys will follow their lead. They say it will save money and save people. Really? Let a bunch of criminals out of jail, and that saves money and saves people. Where's my tax cut then?
Yeah, does it save money for the people that they steal money from?
Yeah, exactly.
That they damage their property?
Yeah, once again, the victims, these morons couldn't care less about. How about if the victims of these crimes were black?
They still don't care.
And white people were committing them.
Then they would care.
Oh, okay. Then we got blind justice again.
Yeah.
A family here's Channel 9's objective reporting here. A family applauds the decision. Darren Vaughn said he would have lost everything if a family member didn't help him post bond that got him out of jail 20 years ago. I wouldn't have, I think, because I didn't have the money or anything, he told Fox 9. It could cost you your car, you can't make your car payment, your rent, and you're put on the streets because you have to pay a bond. Well, Mr. Vaughn, there was something you could have done there. Not committed the crime that you were accused of committing. I mean, that's just some advice there. Vaughn said he's happy to hear Hennepin County's decision to do away with bail requirements for low-level crimes. Yeah, hey, like property damage or, illegally obtaining unemployment benefits, forging stuff, possession of narcotics. Hey, if it's a nonviolent crime, who have they hurt? Really?
Really?
First off, how is property damage a nonviolent crime?
Yeah. Property damage, stealing someone's identity. How does that not hurt somebody?
That's victimless? Mr. Vaughn, you're not too bright. I understand why you got arrested. You're an idiot. First off, there are no crimes that don't have a victim.
Yeah.
I mean, you're either victimizing taxpayers or you're victimizing, just because you don't physically hurt somebody doesn't mean there isn't a victim.
Theft under
How about all the people dying?
$35,000?
How about all the people dying of narcotics out there? You're telling me there's no victims of that?
Theft of a motor vehicle, your car shows up in a ditch all destroyed.
Yeah, what if somebody can't go to work? What if somebody, has to go get a new car? They got to go through their insurance. They got to go. You know what a pain in the arse that is?
Yeah.
These crimes all have victims.
Fraudulent identification or driver's license. So if a minor gets into a bar, buys alcohol, kills somebody on the way home, there's no victim.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, some of that, there's more charges to that if somebody does that, but somebody's going to feel more empowered to do that because they're going to be able to get off.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a movement to get rid of all nonviolent crime.
Yeah.
If you commit larceny, fraud, whatever, that's all considered not victimless. And I just the idea. Look, a crime is committed on something or somebody.
Yep.
And so
possession of shoplifting gear or damage to property. You think those business owners down on Lake Street that put everything that they owned into starting a business, just a little mom and pop shop or a restaurant, that now it's destroyed and they don't know what they're going to do? Yeah, there's no victim there. There's no harm to those people.
How about possessing stolen property? Isn't that somebody else's stuff?
Yeah, well, it's a store. Insurance will cover it.
No, but I mean, it
doesn't.
If you go walk into somebody's house and steal a bunch of their stuff, you're telling me there's no victim?
Yeah.
Yeah, the victim is the person who earned those things, bought them, gave them to their kids as presents or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're telling there's no victim to it.
No.
Preposterous.
Yep. All
right, I'm done talking about these morons. What else we got?
Oh,
damn New Hope. Okay.
You're almost as salty as I am.
I am. I'll tell you what. If I were an egg, I would be covered in salt right now. New Hope is congratulating themselves today. Jay.
Yeah.
Once again, the shared sacrifice.
Oh boy.
They actually don't have a double-digit tax increase, and they brag about it all over. They've had a 50% tax increases over the past 5 years.
Yes.
And New Hope MN.gov it's out, and it's like the first 8 articles on here are about their 2021 budget. The 2021 New Hope preliminary budget and maximum tax levy is well, okay. It's a little confusing because they have their general fund that is not exactly the tax levy is set at $417,601. You know, I remember when that was like under 10.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago either. Which represents a $572,885 increase over the 2020 levy, which was
It's a $500,000.
Yeah, which was a 10% increase the previous year.
So this is great because we're only increasing it 3.4%.
Yeah, well,
after increasing it 10% the year before. So you're not getting a break at all. You're still having to pay more based on an exponential increase the year before. That's like, if you're paying 3% more off of $1 million versus paying 3% more off of $3 billion, it's kind of a big difference.
Yeah, I know. You just
it's only 3%. It's $500,000.
Yeah, and by the way, the major changes in the budget, of course, it's just riveting new ideas here in New Hope. An increase of $243,524 for wage and benefit increases, including a 3% cost of living and an increase in the city's share of health insurance coverage. And a 3% increase in city council salaries, which is also in the budget. I bet they do like 1.5%, and then talk about how great that
public
is.
Servants. So $250,000 is going to employees.
$243,000. How many people work there?
I mean, that's half of what they're asking for.
Yeah, but I mean, how many people do you think New Hope has employed?
Well, remember when they were going through the Green Step stuff, all of those employee hours that were going to go towards making it level 4 and 5.
You're making me feel worse.
Yeah.
156 jizzles is budgeted for phase 1 of a police department body and squad camera purchases. Phase 2 is scheduled for 2022, so taxpayers won't get a break there.
No.
It is recommended that this cost be funded with a transfer from the IT Reserve Fund in order to keep the general fund tax levy at a minimum. So this is a minimum here. Mm-hmm. So we're going to get one bucket of money that's sitting around somewhere, and we're going to take it from that bucket of money. There is an increase of $85,288 in the budget for West Metro. So that's not even part of the New Hope wage increase. For West Metro Fire District, due to a 4.2 increase in New Hope's share of the Joint Powers Agreement, and a $33,000 increase in the central garage charges due to a replacement charge for the new emergency generator shared between the fire district, the police station, and the city hall facility. Huh? Yeah. So, I want to watch this meeting in New Hope here and just see how much credit they take.
Yeah.
For what a great steward. How much the council slobbers all over the employees.
You enjoy watching that.
I hate watching them. I'd rather melt from the inside out than watch a New Hope council meeting. But what do you got on there? I mean, who's going to replace Cedric Frazier now?
Well, I'm sure they will appoint somebody.
I'm sure they will.
That's what they do in New Hope.
So
After all, Cedric Frazier was appointed as well.
Yes.
Yes, he was.
No quid pro quo there to run in 45A either. Yeah, I'm sure. So we know how the back scratching works. I mean, Kathy Hempkin worked for Ann Rest. I mean, crepe.
Yeah.
They all are in the same social circle. Maybe Andy Hoff will stay awake for that meeting. We'll see.
It depends how much meat John Elder eats beforehand.
Well, I don't know. Is that one of his last meetings?
Might be.
I don't know.
It'll have to be. Yeah. What?
He wasn't up, was he?
No.
Now wait a minute. Who was up? No, I don't. I think he's still there for 2 more years.
Was London up?
No, he ran for mayor, but
right.
his
safe.
council seat wasn't up. Now I have to look.
Oh, it was what's his name? Lamley.
No, he's not there anymore.
Oh. It's amazing that you can't tell the difference.
Oh.
Can't tell the difference.
Yeah, well, remember last time, I'm pretty sure Elder and London, because remember 2018, I think nobody ran against them.
Right.
And Andy Hoff was just reelected for the 89th year. And then whoever was elected with him, maybe Frazier didn't run. I don't know. Because if London and Elder are there for 2 more years, then his seat won't be appointed.
Their website terrible. Who designed this thing? Like I hit on the menu button and it shows me like just a little sliver of what the pages are. Oh, that's awful.
Well, I just see one pic. Oh, okay. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Elder was reelected in 2018.
Yeah.
London will be there till 2022. So Frazier must have just been appointed to fill. Lamley must have been up.
Oh, yeah. He's the one that moved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And he resigned strategically at a date too, where
Right.
like they didn't have to have a special election.
Yep.
So just wonderful. So whoever was elected, I'm sure it was a bad person, I'm sure it wasn't anybody good, who was elected to replace old Frazier.
No, I don't remember.
Smoking Cedric Frazier? Is that what we're going to call him? Smoking Frazier? Smoking Joe Frazier? Well, we'll call Cedric Smoking Cedric. Okay, so by the way, just
Yes.
Your new state representative, by the way, served as a staff attorney for Education Minnesota.
Oh, perfect.
Just so you knew, I mean, he clearly was groomed for this. Never had to win an election to do it. So. And John Elder was originally appointed as well.
Yeah. Wow.
So, anyway.
You know, and if I wanted to read about them, I couldn't. Not that I want to, but like...
It's like cut off.
Way to make sure that your web developers formatted for mobile there.
Your website sucks. It just sucks.
I mean... Even when I'm getting my website, or when I'm looking at Community Solutions website or a couple other websites.
It's not that hard. If I can
like,
figure it out.
One of the requirements I always write is this has to work on mobile as well as desktop.
Yeah.
It terrible.
Well, how many people too? I mean, mobile is what a lot of people use most of the time now.
Yeah. I mean, you can't even read to the end of the line. Terrible.
All right. Well, there you go. There you have it, folks.
Maybe you should raise taxes another 7% so you can fix your website.
Yeah, but then everybody will need another 3% They'll have to work after 4:30.
Yes.
So it'll.
Well, that's true.
Jay, it's that time yet again.
Oh, boy.
One more time here. Well, what am I saying? One more till next week.
Yeah.
Whatever episode we're in.
Need to settle in here.
It is time once again. Styling and profiling, limousine riding, jet flying. The suffering of Succotash, the Roddy of Piper, the Chew of Chewbacca.
What?
The Master of Disaster, the King of Sting. I'm making this up as I go. Come on. The Rick of Flair. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, with the sign-off sermon, Jason Bradley III Jr.
I got to find my happy place, people.
I don't have one anymore.
No. Oh. We gotta find our happy place, Minnesota, because things ain't none too happy. We got lockdowns again. We got businesses going out. We should have read a list of all the places that have gone under in Minnesota in this episode, because I was looking at it.
Too long of an episode.
It's terrible what has happened to this state, and we just go along for the ride. Okay, we'll close. We'll be good. I promise. Meanwhile, we got people who have sunk millions of dollars into their businesses across the state. Tens of millions. They're going under. Government doesn't care. It trickles down. It's not just them. It's at the local level too. We've got places like the Minnesota AFL-CIO that decides, hey, we're gonna put our candidates forward, and we're gonna fund them, and we're gonna put muscle behind them, and we're gonna start taking over the local level too. It's happening all across the state. Well, we are being bamboozled by people that think that for some reason they have a right to what should be free for all men and women, no matter your color, no matter your ethnicity, no matter your religious persuasion. But no, we can't have that. We can't have people that have a different mindset, that think differently than you and I. We can't have them just going around willy-nilly and making laws that they like. No, we can't have them making laws that increase liberty. We've got to take that away. And so, unfortunately, that's what we get here. We get people that go into government wanting to serve government, wanting to serve unions, wanting to serve themselves. And you don't get people that want to serve their neighbors. You don't get people that want to serve their city, their county, their state, their nation. No, you get self-serving, and it's ridiculous, and I'm sick and tired of it. I sit here and I watch every day how things seem to be going in the wrong direction, how we just nod our heads and go, okay, can I have another, sir? Things that are bad for us. A disease that it's too bad when anybody dies, and it's terrible that I have to give disclaimers like to protect myself from lawsuits or whatever. But you know what? When you have a 99 point whatever plus survival rate, and you're treating it like this thing is Ebola transmitted by the air? Everybody's got to hide. Everybody's got to stay in. Nobody can visit with each other. Nobody that if you're not living in the same household, you're not getting together. You're not opening your business. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. And guess what? I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to extend it past a month, but when I get my powers for the next 30 days, I'm going to extend it again. Ha, 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 you guys are stupid. And that's what they think of you, that you're stupid. Well, guess what? They think that because we don't do anything about it. I'm tired of laying down. I'm tired of being the moron. I'm tired of being looked at as gullible. Oh, they're just going to accept it. Nah, I don't accept it. I don't accept it. And you know what? There's a whole bunch of other people I know in Minnesota that do not accept it. And we see what's going on in this country. We see. And we are not going to stop talking about what you are doing, about the critical race theory, about the cultural Marxism, about the classical Marxism, about the efforts to shut us down. It's not going to happen. And we're not going to let it happen. No, you are going to have to take us out. Let me just sidestep for a moment. Get real with y'all. We have to come together. Now is the time for us to come together. We want to provide the best training to this state. We want you to be able to excel. If you decide that you want to run for office, put your hat in the ring, we want to give you the best tools to do it. Because right now, we get together with people one-on-one, and we do strategy, and we provide strategy guides, and we help walk you through from A to Z how to run a great campaign. And the people who follow us the closest, they win. The people who do what we ask them to do, they win. But we want to improve those tools even more and make them available. No matter where you are in the state, it'd be easy for us to be able to meet and do what we need to do, whether you're in War Road or Pipestone or up in Grand Marais, Grand Portage even, or down, maybe near Austin. Anywhere in between. We're just a couple of guys that do this with our spare time because we care for this state. We love this state, and we know because we have seen the map. We've run the numbers. You know, forget about St. Paul, forget about Minneapolis, forget about Duluth. You know, to a degree, forget about Rochester as well. Most of this state is conservative. And there's no reason there should be liberal city councils sitting out in Glencoe, sitting out in Morrison County, sitting up on the Iron Range, sitting down in some of our rural areas, out like Worthington, up in Wadena. But you know what we gotta do? We gotta come together. We need your help. And I know I've said that before, and I've said that in the context of we need you to stand up and do something, and we do. We need you to stand up and volunteer in your communities for city councils, for county commissions, for school boards, for advisory commissions. We need that, absolutely, because it starts with us putting ourselves in areas where we can have influence, and governing is the only way to do that. But how do we get you there? If you have the skills of an artist and you would like to help us, I'm working on pulling together what we need for a new website right now, where we would be able to provide you with video tutorials, where we'd be able to provide you with checklists and guides and everything that you need. Anytime you want to learn about, what is that they said again about tax levies? What is that they said about tax increment financing? You can go back and you can watch a video on it. We want to create that. So so that we can train people in this state how to be the best that they can be. Because I tell you this, I'm sick and tired of Republicans in name only that go to St. Paul and they don't do anything. And they don't pass legislation that helps people. They vote for all the same taxes. They don't get rid of the regulation. They don't challenge the governor. They don't try to take away his power. They don't try to horse trade to get him to give up his power. That there is so much that could be going on. The Met Council needs to have their power reduced. Where's the legislation that does this? Well, before we can have people there, good people that are going to change the system, we need people just like that sitting at the local level in these nonpartisan races. That's you. So if you want to help us out with something like that, if that project sounds worthy to you, I'm just kind of throwing it out there. We could use your help. Because let me tell you, we're running a shoestring budget here at Community Solutions Minnesota. And we are doing what we can. As we can, we're providing free content for you every week in the form of podcasts and blogs and things that we find out on social media and retweeting it and putting it out there on Facebook and Instagram for you. But we need help. We need help getting the word out. If we're going to build an army, and I don't mean an army with guns, although most of us probably have them. I mean an information army to get out there. 20,000 of us to sit in seats of nonpartisan appointed and elected positions. Then we need a plan to do it. Well, we've got the plan. We've got that all figured out up here. And because it's down in our hearts as well, like Andrew says, we're not going to quit till we stroke out. That day, the way things are going, might happen sooner than you think. But we're going to keep on, and we're not going to let up, and we're not going to let go. If you want to get a hold of us, if you're able to help us, get a hold of us. COMMsolutionsMN@gmail.com. That is COMMsolutionsMN@gmail.com. Also, if you got stuff you want us to talk about, shoot it over here. We've done plenty of times. We get our material from all y'all out there in greater Minnesota and here in the metro. We're super thankful when you have sent us those things. But let me tell you, we cannot do it alone. So if you're able to help at all, we'd love to hear from you. Because we're not looking to stay stagnant. We're not looking to keep doing the same thing. We're not looking to get the same results for the next 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 20 election cycles. We're not going to have a country to come back to if we don't build up ourselves from the bottom up right now. We have to build a foundation, and we have to move forward with that. So it's up to you. Are you in or are you out? You like your comforts for the time being until they take them away? Or do we have some patriots out there that want to go after what these people are doing to our country and stop it? If you're that kind of person, that's who we want. You get a hold of us. COMMsolutionsMN@gmail.com. And why? Because we love you, Minnesota. But now it's your turn to get to work.
get too caught